And as promised, I am back with another update for the D4VD David situation. Okay, well, I promise y'all Fridays I will be touching on this a little bit more. It seems like they pushed back some more things as far as court hearings, so I may or may not do this again next Friday because if there's nothing to report, there's no reason for me to do it. So it just depends what happens in 7 days, but shit has been happening left and right. It's been a lot of information since my last episode regarding this. So it's a lot of things I'm going to touch on. I'm going to get into the bulk of it mainly because as of yesterday, there was a briefing. Yes, there was a briefing where the prosecution got to present some preliminary evidence, and it was a lot of information. I'm actually going to read the entire briefing for the most part, and I'm going to get into all that in just a second. But let's go ahead and play that intro first before we get into some shit. Linkinwitrobby. So dude hit me in my DM, right? And I'm just like, all you niggas freak out, and that's just all it is. First off, girl, fuck him. And you are now listening to Linkinwitrobby. So as stated in the intro, there was a preliminary hearing on yesterday, Thursday, as of April 30th actually. And boy, there was a lot of information. More than I could ever expect. Basically, prosecution just laid out how they think he went about what he did. They gave their basically storyline and what they have based on the evidence they have. And even though it's not everything they have, it was enough for me to be like, oh, fuck, he's fucked. Like, fucked. Fucked. I'm going to try to get to the briefing. I know y'all ready for me to go into it and get into it because this ain't going to be a long pod because I'm really just updating based on that. It wasn't a full hearing. It was a preliminary hearing, so we still have a whole hearing to go, which I believe is at the end of May. So, oh my God, y'all. It's getting crazy. The more information I keep hearing and the more things keep coming out and the more things being reported, it's leaving me wondering, like, what is going to happen? Is he going to plead out? There's so much information that just makes me feel like he's going to plead guilty because what is the defense to all this? Is there a possible defense? Like, I'm so baffled on what the defense team is going to do. I'm pretty sure they're going to try to poke holes in everything the prosecution is saying, but everything that the prosecution is laying out, it seems black and white to me. I don't know how we can argue anything else. I don't know, y'all. This is going to be one hell of a case and one hell of a trial if it ever makes it that far. But we shall see. Let me hurry up and get this brief summary pulled up because this is a lot of shit going on, y'all. A lot of shit. Okay. Take a sip real quick. Okay. All right. So I have in front of me the people's brief regarding preliminary hearing evidence. All right, y'all. Let's see. Okay. Actually, this was not yesterday. This was on Wednesday. My bad. April 29th, 2026. Time 1:30 p.m. All right, let's get to it. All right. Skipping ahead. Because they were stating that the preliminary was supposed to start on May 1st, which was today, but it got pushed back. So, actually, let's go ahead and start here with the background facts. Okay. Y'all got me. Let me adjust my mic because I feel like I'm not loud enough. Can y'all hear me? Because I ain't trying to yell. But let me go ahead and get into this shit. The dismembered body of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas, victim, was discovered in the front trunk of defendant's Tesla Model X on September 8th, 2025. The vehicle had been towed 3 days prior from 1405 Bluebird Avenue, which was parked approximately 400 feet from defendant's home at 1368 Doheny Place in the Hollywood Hills. Surveillance video and other evidence confirmed defendant was the last person to drive the vehicle on July 29, 2025 before he left Los Angeles on a concert tour. We're going to stop there. Let's stop there. Okay, let's stop there. Because we have a private investigator that was reporting for a while that it was reportedly his friend Neo who was driving last seen. But what the police department is saying, what prosecution is saying, they have evidence, surveillance showing David was the last person, D4VD, was the last person seen driving the vehicle on July 29th, which means that vehicle had been sitting out there for over a month. Crazy work. Crazy work. Crazy work. And the fact that they got that to a T, love it. So you mean to tell me you decide, dismember this girl, poor, lifeless, defenseless girl, put her in a trunk of your car and drive her 400 feet away from your house and leave it there while you go on tour in the hopes of what? Like, I'm wondering, was it like I'm going to come back to it? Because that couldn't be it. Because common sense would tell you eventually somebody was going to come across the car after a month. What was the plan? Was he hoping somebody else would get framed for it? Because it's his car. So I don't know. What's the fucking plan, yo? What is the plan? I'm going to get back to it. Let me get back to it. On September 8th, 2025, the manager of the tow yard where the Tesla had been impounded noted the strong smell of decay and the presence of flies coming from the vehicle. He notified Los Angeles LAPD, Hollywood Auto Detectives, who determined I know they had like auto detectives. Do they have detectives just for vehicles? Interesting. Who determined the Tesla was registered defendant through departmental resources. Okay. At the tow yard, LAPD detectives opened the Tesla's front storage compartment and observed a black cadaver bag covered in insects. Inside the bag, it's crazy. Inside the bag, they discovered a severely decomposed head and torso. A plastic garbage bag beneath the black cadaver bag contained the dismembered arms and legs. Wow. However, the victim's ring and pinky fingers on her left hand had been amputated and were not found in the Tesla. Whew. Oh my God. I'm out to stop for a second. Do you know what that mean? He cut off the ring finger that had the tattoo. He cut off all the identifying fingers that had the tattoo that, resembled his or the same tattoo as his. But the fact that he put the head and the torso in one cadaver bag, and then for the arms and legs, he put them separately. This is so gruesome beyond measures. Because, like, what the fuck? This sick fuck. What the fuck? This is so premeditated and sick. And again, what the fuck was the goal? And then this part reads, on September 16th, 2025, the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Department positively identified the body from dental records as belonging to the victim. She was that badly decomposed they had to use her teeth and her dental records to figure out who she is. Now here's we get into now. This when we get into the timeline of things, okay? You ready? This is the best part of the report because this is where all the tea that really makes things make sense. It fills in a lot of blanks that was there before. So let me go into it, right? All right. LAPD robbery homicide detectives determined the victim and defendant met in January 2022 when she was 11 years old. Wow. They began a sexual relationship in November 2023 when the victim was just 13 years old. Oh wow. He's so courteous. He waited 2 years. And defendant was 18. Oh, he waited till he turned 18. Okay. All right. Right. Because that's makes it better. Okay. Ooh, the logic over there. It's not clicking. It's not clicking. It's not clicking. Detectives learned the victim had been reported missing to the Riverside County Sheriff's Department by her family, who live in Lake Elsinore, in February and April 2024. RCSD telephonically contacted the defendant on February 17th, 2024. They called him after they identified a phone number in the victim's phone records that belonged to him. They found his phone number off the victim's phone records when she was missing the first time. All right. During the call, defendant claimed he had spoken to the victim last on February 13th or 14, 2024, but stated he was unaware she was a minor or that she had been reported missing. RCSD advised him that Los Angeles Sheriff's Department deputies would be coming to his home. On that day, the defendant was living at 804 North Doheny Place in West Hollywood. RCSD requested that LASD conduct a welfare check at the defendant's home. LASD deputies went to the defendant's home that night at 8:15 p.m. and informed him the victim was a 13-year-old runaway. Defendant again claimed he was unaware she was a minor, and he had only met the victim once in person in November 2023. Now, see, this is the gag part. So she was reported missing by the family, right? Reported missing by the family. Police go through her phone records to kind of figure out who she's been in contact with. Who was the last person she talked to? They find D4VD's phone number, call him. He tells them, oh, I ain't seen her since the 13th or the 14th. Okay. So because they know that he has been in contact with her recently, they sent the police to his house for a welfare check and told this nigga she was a minor. And then he swore but out he didn't know, and he had only seen her in November, right? Okay. However, defendant showed deputies a yearbook photo of the victim he had on his cell phone. Although he claimed he'd be aware of where the victim was at the time she returned home 2 days later. Now let's stop again. You don't know her age, but you got her yearbook photo? What's the date on the yearbook? You knew she was in school. Right? You knew you weren't in school. How old did you think she was, David? That's the question I would ask. So how old did you think she was? If you got a yearbook photo in your pocket, ready to go at all times. Fucking weird ass fuck. I gotta take another sip. Despite being informed by law enforcement the victim was only 13, defendant continued to pursue her. After the victim returned home in February 2024, her parents took her cell phone away. Defendant drove to Lake Elsinore and paid a junior high school student in the victim's class $1,000 to give the victim a cell phone defendant purchased so they could stay in contact, probably a burner phone. Throughout 2024, the victim spent a significant amount of time with defendant, including summer weekends at his home in the Hollywood Hills and traveling with him to Las Vegas, London, and Texas to meet his family. She done met the family. Text exchanges between the victim and defendant contain references to sex, pregnancy, abortion, and use of the Plan B emergency contraceptive. Wow. There are also explicit photographs documenting and corroborating their sexual relationship. Oh, wow. In November 2024, the defendant and the victim broke up. Although they continue to communicate, and text messages suggest they also continue to have sexual relations. Well, here's what I want to know. Not for that, I don't want to know nothing. Here's what I want to say. Based on this reporting and based on this briefing summary, like just based on that alone, they have a lot of evidence just from the phones. A lot of their evidence they got just from iCloud. They got all these conversations. How is he going to defend that? He has the minor charge, the minor, I forgot what it's exactly called, but you know what I mean, with the sex with a minor and doing things with a minor you ain't got no business doing. He has that charge. There's no way he going to beat that. Baby, all the evidence is telling me you was down with it and you was doing that. What's the defense going to be? My bad. What's the lie going to be? Because you're going to have to lie, right? Let me keep reading because this is just a lie. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lie. It's a lie. Let me go ahead. Where we at? Okay. April 23rd, 2025. This is where we at right here. Is the likely date of the victim's death and when all of her cell phone activity ceased. The night prior, April 22nd, 2025, the defendant and the victim engaged in a lengthy argument described in detail in their text messages. The messages revealed the victim's jealousy over the defendant's relationship with other women, as the defendant led her to believe they had a future together. She became extremely upset and threatened to disclose damaging information about her relationship with the defendant to end his career and destroy his life. The defendant's first studio album was due to be released on April 25th, 2025. He had an emerging multi-million-dollar career already in progress. He also had multiple product endorsements which were highly profitable. I guess he said she wasn't gonna fuck that bag up, huh? Ain't that some shit? He could have just left her alone in the first place and he would be in this position. You sought her out. Like, she was 11 when you met her. She had no way of getting to you. You saw her out. And when her parents took her phone, you could have took that as a, you know what, let me leave her alone. You got another phone and sought her out even more. After knowing her age. Yeah, defend that. At approximately 8:40 p.m. on April 23rd, 2025, defendant sent an Uber to transport the victim from her Lake Elsinore home to his residence. They communicated before and during her Uber ride, which dropped her off at defendant's Hollywood Hills around 10:10 p.m. At approximately 10:30 p.m., defendant sent text messages to the victim inquiring where she was. The people contend this was part of the defendant's premeditated plan to cover up the murder, as she was already dead by this time. Knowing he had to silence the victim before she ruined his music career, as she had threatened, very soon after her arrival at his home, defendant stabbed the victim to death multiple times and stood by while she bled out. At no time did he call law enforcement or 911 or take her to an emergency room to attempt to save her life. Let me keep reading. I'm going to just keep going before I say everything I want to say, because it's a lot I want to say. And it's a lot I want to say because this is so premeditated. It's so premeditated. It may not be like months in advance planned, but whatever conversation they had, which we will see once the trial starts, I'm pretty sure eventually we will see the information that's going to be had. Whatever conversation they had, that argument, I'm pretty sure she threatened to out him and continue to ruin everything that he had going at the time. And it was in that moment he said, I have to murder her. And so he asked her to come to his apartment, to come to his house. That time frame from 10:10 to 10:30 is not a long time. So that wasn't no huge argument. It wasn't an argument that lasted for hours and then she asked, did he got killed? No. He knew she was going to die when she got there. Crazy. Despite knowing she was dead and her family was trying to find her, the evidence will show defendant lied and claimed he didn't know where she was. In fact, defendant drove to Santa Barbara County immediately after the victim died, attempting to dispose of her property and destroy evidence. At approximately 11:30 p.m. on April 23rd, 2025. Wow, wait, hold on, let me go back. It's the same day. I didn't even realize this was the same day. I don't remember this part. Okay. At approximately 11:30 p.m. on April 23rd, 2025, he drove away from his home as he texted and called the victim's phone asking where she was. Again, these were acts calculated and planned to set up his defense within a very short timeline after the victim's vicious murder. Defendant drove his Tesla north on the 101 freeway to San Marcos Pass Road near Lake Cochuta. He returned home early in the morning of April 24th, 2025, before going to a radio interview for the release of his album that week. He sent 2 additional texts to the victim's phone that day, which obviously went unanswered because she was already dead. After April 26, 2025, defendant never attempted to contact her again. Hold up. Wait a minute. He did all this in the same... Okay, so I never realized that. I thought it was days after. So after he murdered her, he had the idea to go to Santa Barbara and drop off her items to discard of any evidence that she was there. Interesting. I wonder if he contemplated on taking her there. He probably did. I don't think he knew what he wanted to do with her yet. He didn't have it planned out completely. He knew he was going to murder her, but he hadn't had anything else planned out after that. Okay. Let me go on, because there's a lot more. Maybe when I say this is a lot more, it's a lot more. I don't know if y'all going to like this episode because it's just really information heavy, but I have to do this. I can't leave nothing out. It's just so much going on. Okay. Tellingly, Defendant subsequently purchased tools to carry out his plot to dismember and dispose of the victim's body. On April 24th, 2025, which is a day after she was murdered, defendant ordered a shovel from Home Depot that was delivered to his home from Postmates. Girl. On May 1st, 2025, defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered 2 chainsaws to his home. On May 5th, 2025, defendant ordered and Amazon subsequently delivered a body bag, heavy-duty laundry bags, and a blue inflatable pool to his home. He made these purchases under the fake name Victoria Mendez. Who the hell is... Where you get that from? Oh, God. On May 8th, 2025, defendant returned to the same area in Santa Barbara County, leaving his home around 11:30 p.m., another late night. He returned to the area again on May 31st, 2025. Interesting. This is an isolated site off SR 154 where the victim's identification was subsequently discovered in January 2026. They found her ID and stuff this year in that area. Wow. They must have got like his GPS records or his cell phone navigation records, something to indicate, like a cell phone tower possibly, indicate he was in that area on those days, and that made them go check that area and they found her belongings. Wow. Additionally, on July 7, 2025, defendant ordered and subsequently Amazon delivered a burn cage to his home under the same fake name as part of his plan to incinerate evidence. Okay. So this is when the planning goes into effect. Because like I said, I think he's been winging it on the fly. I think he's a little bit sure. That's why he keep going back out there to Santa Barbara. He's like, okay, I need to dump this out there. Oh shit, I still got this. I need to drop that out there too. Oh shit, what about this? I need to drop that out there. And this whole time he's trying to figure out what I'm going to do with her body. He did plan to burn her. And I don't know what happened. Maybe it seemed like it would be more difficult to do that. I'm not sure. But let me get into the gruesome part of this. This is the part that they detail basically what he did, next. Here we go. After placing her body in the blue inflatable pool to prevent her blood from spilling onto his garage floor, defendant used a chainsaw and perhaps other tools to cut off her limbs. Small blue plastic fragments were found embedded in the victim's remains, which were collected by the LA County Medical Examiner Department. The fragment was analyzed by LAPD's Forensic Science Division. An expert was able to make a physical fit match from the blue fragments in the blue inflatable pool purchased by the defendant in May 2025. In order to distance himself from the victim, he amputated her left ring and pinky fingers because her ring finger contained a tattoo of his name. Her fingers have not been recovered. Defendant then placed her head and torso into a cadaver bag he purchased. He placed the limbs into a garbage bag, which he deposited into his front trunk, laying the cadaver bag on top. For several weeks, or possibly months, defendant left the victim's body to decompose inside his Tesla. He lied to friends, family, business associates, and others who noticed the strong smell of decay in and around his home and vehicle before leaving on his concert tour at the end of July. He parked his Tesla on the street around the corner from his home. LAPD served a search warrant at defendant's home at 13868, basically his home, on September 17, 2025, after the victim was identified by the LA County Medical Examiner on September 16, 2025. Inside the garage, detectives discovered evidence consistent with the dismemberment of the victim's body in the inflatable pool, which contained multiple linear cuts. Several biological samples, which tested positive for blood, were collected within the garage area. DNA analysts determined that various samples matched the victim's unique genetic profile. On December 9, 2025, the medical examiner ruled the victim's death of homicide caused by 2 penetrating injuries to the torso. On January 17, 2025, the victim's U.S. passport card was found by a call trans worker off. They must mean on January 7th. Yeah, on January 17, 2026, the U.S. passport card was found in Santa Barbara County. Whew. Okay, so let's just take a break right there because that was the timeline. I'll get into more details of what evidence they have. But Based on that timeline, he's cooked, bro. They have so much digital evidence, and I think that's where their timeline came from. And all they need is just other things to fill in any gaps they have. We just got to fill in those other gaps. I think defense is going to focus in on her being a runaway or trying to say that she pursued him. I'm pretty sure there's text message that shows that, I'm sure. But I think it doesn't change the fact that he was a grown man and she was murdered and put in the trunk. I don't know what defense they can have for that. Even trying to say she was OD, I'm sorry. She was stabbed. Come on now. Y'all gonna argue against the body? They're gonna argue for the cause of death. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna focus on the cause of death. Oh my God, this is so crazy. This is such a crazy case. Because I know the defense team is gonna throw everything at the wall and say the most outlandish shit to try to save their client. Let me get into some of the evidence. Okay, so the type of evidence they're gonna have is some photographs depicting the victim naked, as well as while she was engaged with the defendant in sexual activity when she was 13. Oh, God. Numerous text messages between defendant and the victim evidencing their sexual relationship, pregnancy, abortion, and use of Plan B emergencies. Messages through March 2025 prove defendant continued to manipulate the victim as she messaged, "All we do is have sex and just hang out. Man, I want more than that for myself." They got this from the defendant's iCloud data. They got this from D4VD's iCloud. He thought he deleted it. Ooh, see, here go more. Here go. This was it. I knew it. Defendant's cellular activity and communication derived from defendant's iPhone and Tesla, which demonstrates defendant's activities from April 22nd, 2025 and April 24th, 2025, including a trip to Santa Barbara County in the middle of the night after the victim arrived at his Hollywood Hills home. Come on now. That's going to tell it all. How you going to argue that? He going to try, but how you going to argue it? Surveillance video of defendant driving his Tesla on July 29, 2025 for the last time before parking the vehicle and leaving the tour at the end of July. Another big one. The DNA evidence developed from blood stains collected from... Start over, Robert. I got it. I'm getting too worked up, y'all. Okay. DNA evidence developed from blood stains collected from defendant's garage which matched the victim's genetic profile. Proof of the defendant's Amazon purchases, okay, like all that stuff, from the body bag, chainsaws, inflatable pool, heavy-duty laundry bags, the burn cage. You got the proof of defendant's purchase and delivery from Postmates of a shovel from Home Depot. I guess he was going to try to bury her. Uber records, of course, showing defendant's transaction where he ordered an Uber to pick up the victim from her Lake Elsinore home and transport her to his residence tonight, April 23rd, 2025. Proof of defendant's lucrative career as a singer and songwriter prior to April 23rd, 2025. Defendant had an album release party on the night of April 24th, 2025 before embarking on an international tour in late July 2025. And then also we have, lastly, text message exchanges between defendant and the victim on April 22nd and April 23rd, 2025, where the victim threatened to expose defendant and destroy his career. Ooh. Make me want to sing Sinners right now because Pale to the Moon. Wow. I think that's a lot of evidence in itself. And I think the text messages and the videos and the pictures is what's really going to seal the deal. That last conversation is going to seal the deal. Because what is he saying in that text messages when she's saying she's going to destroy his career? When she's saying, I'm going to come forward, I'm going to tell everybody your business. What was he saying? What did he respond with? And if you thought, because he's going to try to hold, well, I was trying to find out where she was. I've been testing to see where she was. She never made it to my house. You have somebody coming to your house that you ordered an Uber for. The Uber clearly gets there. She's not in the car. How is that possible? The ride would have been canceled. Come on, dude. Like, what's not making sense? What's not making sense to him? Does he not realize that the ride would have canceled and then she wouldn't have made it there, and they would have record of the Uber ride canceling? And then you decide after that to go to Santa Barbara for what? And then you make multiple trips out there, and then they found her passport and her ID out there. Sir, you're not bright. You're not smart. You're not smart, and you think you are. And those are the worst type of people. The type of people that think they're smarter than everybody in the fucking room, but they're the dumbest nigga walking. Those are the worst people. You are the fucking worst. You're a sick PDF file, seeking, grooming, nasty, minor loving asshole. You're a dickhead, and you're going to perish. Like, you are not getting out of this situation. You're not, and you may get the death penalty, bro. All this evidence stacked up against you. I don't want you to do it, but your best bet may be to plead guilty. Because how are you going? What you finna? Come on now, you ain't do none of this. You didn't lure her to your house. You didn't pay for her Uber, and she was a minor. You knew she was a minor because we told you she was a minor. You weren't having sex with her. Like, what are you gonna deny? What are you gonna deny? You bought her a phone so you could communicate with her. You'd have her traveling everywhere. How are you going to deny all that? And then all the stuff you purchase. What is the defense for that? That you magically purchased the day she ceases all activity on her phone? After she came to your residence? Come on, dude. You're cooked. Grilled. Fried hard. And I love that for you. I say burn them. Burn them at the stake. Leave him up there to rot. Like he left her in that car. Y'all, I don't know what else to say about this case. I basically went over the briefing. If there's more information as of next Friday, I'm going to come back and I'll speak on more things. But of course, outside of that, y'all still got my regular episodes on Tuesdays. I'll still touch on that. I'm just shook. I don't know what else to say because there's so much detail in that, and that's just the preliminary evidence. So it's still more. But the summary of what they have is like, oh, y'all got all that. Like, y'all got all this information from his iCloud. Them phones be tripping y'all up, bro. And I'm so happy for it. But outside of that, I'm glad I was able to touch base with y'all today. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend. And stay smart. Stay prepared. Robbie, clocking on out. And on that note, I did enjoy myself talking to you today. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And if you did, come back next Wednesday. Every Wednesday after that. Tune in to what I got to say. And yeah, just keep linking with Robbie.